All right, ladies and gentlemen, 5-4. Okay, we're moving on to inequalities. So everything, had to go shut my door. Everything we were doing with equations is still going to apply to solving inequalities, except instead of that equal sign, there's going to be a greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to sign instead. And then we're going to add the element of graphing. Okay, so the only things new that I'm going to talk about, I'm not going to reteach you how to solve equations because that would be ridiculous. We're just going to focus on the greater than or less than sign and then on graphing. So if we look at our question 1 here, we have Coco Kyoko has completed 26 hours of community service. Her goal was to complete at least 90 hours this semester. Write and solve an inequality to show how many hours Coco can complete to meet her goal. Okay, so we have H plus. H is the number she still has to do. H plus 26 is what she's already done, and something 90. Okay, so if it says at least 90, think of that roller coaster, right? If you had to be at least 7 to ride, can you be 7, 8, 9, 10, etc.? Or do you have to be 6, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? So at least 90, if you have to be at least 7, it means you can be 7 or greater. So H plus 26 has to be greater than or equal to 90, because you can be 7 and ride that roller coaster. You can meet 90 hours, that's the minimum required, or you could do more, but the minimum is 90. So H plus 26 has to be greater than or equal to 90. Okay, to solve the equation, this is still 26. We subtract 26 from itself. They're doing it sideways. We usually do it vertically. Same thing though. So we're adding it, so we would subtract it, and this is still greater than or equal to 90, so we're going to subtract 26 over here. So H is greater than or equal to 90 minus 26. Well, 90 minus 6 is 84. Minus 20 was going to give us that 64. Okay, so H is greater than or equal to 64. Here's 64 on the number line, and the numbers that are at least that or greater are all of these ones over here. It has the or equal to, so it would be a closed circle and then to the left. Okay, so pretty straightforward. Just we're going to work on how to write equations. So I'm going to erase all this stuff and then move on to the next problem. So example 2 and try it. The weather forecast predicted that the evening temperature could get as low as negative 12.5. Between the afternoon and the evening, the temperature dropped by 7.5, and the forecast was still correct. What could the afternoon temperature, T, have been? Okay, so something dropped by 7.5, and it could get as low as, okay, so as low as, is that negative 12 and colder, or is that like the coldest it's going to get? To me, that says that's as cold as it's going to get. Okay, so when we're thinking about our sign, we know that 12.5 goes over here because that's our total. We just need to think of the inequality sign. Okay, so the temperature was X, it dropped by 7.5, and it was still at least or at most, whatever you want to think about it, is temperature. It didn't get colder than negative 12.5. Okay, so X minus 7.5 is greater than or equal to negative 12.5, because we're thinking of temperatures, right? So if we number that's greater than this, it's going to be warmer. So it can't be colder. It can't be less than that. Okay, so we would add 7.5, add 7.5. Okay, 5 and 5 is 10. 7 and 3 is also 10. 1 and 1 is, oh, that's not a 1. 1 and 1 is 2.0. Okay, so what happened here? What is happening? Why, right? We said it can't get colder than negative 12.5, and negative 20 is definitely colder. So what did I do? What happened? Okay, well, I'm just adding, and I need to add it to a negative, which is the same as subtracting. So a little Wolverine on you there. Okay, so watch our negatives. So we have negative 12.5. I'm just going to erase it because that's just confusing. Okay, so you can see how we have to be paying attention to what makes sense. And that's going to help us in solving these equations. So I added and got 20, and that didn't make sense because we already said it couldn't be colder than 12.5. Okay, so I know my answer is going to be negative because this is bigger and I am adding 7, but I'm actually subtracting it. So 12.5 minus 7.5. We're just going to erase that because I already know I'm going to have a negative. 5 minus 5 is 0. 2 minus 7 can't borrow 12. 12 minus 7, 5. Okay, so it was negative 5. That's not colder than negative 12, so I know that answer makes sense. Okay, so when we're talking about positives and negatives, we really, really have to be paying attention to what we're doing with those positives and negatives. Okay, so we have negative 5 degrees. What could the afternoon temperature have been? The afternoon temperature, which was X, could have been greater than or equal to negative 5 degrees. All right, last question. Whoops. While that's loading, I'll erase. Solve the inequality there. Okay, it's just like solving an equation, so we can even rewrite this. Adding and subtracting is not going to change that sign. Okay, then we're going to subtract a half, so we're going to add 1/2. This is going to be 0. Then we have negative 2/3 plus 1/2. So I have negative 2/3 plus 1/2. Okay, they need to have common denominators, or you can butterfly. So 3 times 1 is 3. 2 times 2 is 4. One of them needs a negative, and we're going to add them. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. And 3 times 2 is 6. So negative 1/6. This is too many. Go away. X is less than negative 1/6. Okay, to try it, to see if you got it right, because this one's not as clear as the temperature one, right? If X is negative 1/6, we have minus 1/2, and we have negative 2/3. Okay, so 6 times 1 is 6. 2 times, we have negative 2. Negative 2 minus 6 plus negative 6 is 8/12. Okay, 4 goes into 8 twice, and 4 goes into 12 3 times. And it's a negative 8/12. Okay, so we checked that negative 8/12 is the same as negative 2/3, so we know we're right. Okay, so the tricky part is going to know what symbol to put if it doesn't give it to you, and to watch your positives and negatives. Otherwise, solve them just like the equations were.